Surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and thinkers, but most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness within you, even when you don't see it yourself. With this thought, on this auspicious day, I, Mrs. Shraddha Banode, would like to extend a hearty welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki, who is a professor in Energy Science and Engineering Department, IIT Bombay. Reverend Father Dr. Paul Chandran Kunal, our director, Father James Thomas, Assistant Director, Institute Mentor Professor R.B. Govardhan, Principal Dr. S.V. Gore, Head of Electrical Engineering Department Dr. Engg Dhote, Head and in charges of various departments, faculty members, and dear students. I welcome you all to this expert talk on energy climate change and energy Swaraj, being organized by Department of Electrical Engineering at St. Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur. I request Father James Thomas, our Assistant Director, and Professor R.B. Govardhan, along with Chief Guest, to please come forward. I request Father James Thomas to extend a floral welcome to our Chief Guest, Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki. I request our mentor, Professor R.B. Govardhan, to felicitate our chief guest by presenting shawl and shrifle. Thank you, Father and Sir. To empower youth to be technocrats of tomorrow with absolute discipline, quest for knowledge, and strong ethos to uphold the spirit of professionalism. We are an institute with this mission, glance of which you can have in this college video. I request all the dignitaries to take the front seats to watch the video.
Welcome to Pallotti, a vibrant lush green campus renowned for its committed approach for students to emerge as qualified professionals.
Saint Vincent Pallotti was a deeply religious-minded person. Our founder, Saint Vincent Pallotti, used to say, "In heaven we shall rest." And further he said, always more of excellence, more of commitment, more of hard work, greater discipline, and greater determination. In keeping with his vision, we have been engaged in this social service, particularly in the educational service all over the world. We have more than 100 institutions across the globe, and in India too, we are very well established.
The Institute offers a wide array of academic courses and programs approved by AICTE and has excellent laboratories latest equipment and kits for hands-on learning.
We are awarded with Green and Clean Campus status among the top 35 colleges in India. We have best infrastructure, competent and experienced faculty, and what we give? We give activities to the student to enhance their analytical ability and interpersonal skills. What as an engineer is expected to have best ability to learn and highest willingness to learn.
Our students have made us proud by securing gold medals and meritorious positions in the university. At Paloti, students are constantly encouraged to venture into the areas of research and gain technical know-how by giving them opportunities through industry-institute interface. We believe that teachers are not just people conducting classes, they are the guiding lights. They are the ones who instill in young minds morals. Our college teams have shown exceptional performance in various intra-college, inter-college and university competitions. Institute has an on-campus boys and girls hostel managed by fathers and sisters. Hostels are equipped to take care of the needs, safety and security of the students and has a cosmopolitan culture. Our global alumni network is a platform of exchange of ideas and methods between current students and the alumni.
Eager to have you here. For more information, log on to our website. Thanks for watching.
So I've got my...
I request all the dignitaries to come for the seat on the dais. May I now request our director, Father Dr. Paul Chandran Kunal, to share his thoughts and address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Chetan Singh Solanki, our Principal Dr. Surendra Gole, Mentor of the Institute, Professor R.B. Govardhan, Father James, the Assistant Director, Professor Dote, the Head of the Department of Electrical Engineering, and all of you, dear faculty members of the different departments. Everybody must be wondering why I am dressed up like this. I think I will not keep you in suspense. I had a small accident. There was a little dislocation of the shoulder, and that's why I have this baby with me. It is said that a defect in limbs is a defect in speech for Italians, because Italians use their hands and legs for every conversation, dialogue, so much of actions. But for Indians, a defect in limbs is not so much a handicap for speech, and for me much less. And therefore, my handicap will not hopefully affect my speech. We are extremely happy that today we have a nationally and internationally renowned speaker on a very, very relevant theme of energy, Swaraj. Today, all over the world, there is on the one hand an increasing awareness among leaders, religious leaders, political leaders, scientists, and everyone is aware of the alarming dimensions of the climate change. On the other side, there is also an alarming disregard for climate change, or the pretense that nothing is happening, everything is all right with us. It is in this context that we come together to understand the dimensions, the alarming proportions of the climate change and its consequences on human existence itself. It's not just about generating alternative, non-conventional energy, but it also has to do with the optimum utilization of what is available. I am certainly not the authority to speak on these matters. We have renowned speakers on the platform, and I am extremely happy that Professor Chetan Singh Solanki, who is an ambassador of conservation and green energy promotion, is with us. On behalf of everyone who is present here, on behalf of the entire institution, I accord a very, very warm welcome to you, Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki, and thank you for being with us. And with this, I welcome him, or whoever, whatever is the next procedure, please follow that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Father. Our character is basically a composite of our habits because they are consistent, often unconscious patterns. They constantly, daily express our character, as very well said by Stephen Covey. Today we are very privileged and proud to have Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki, who is popularly known as Solar Man of India amongst us. I request Dr. Engg, Head of Electrical Engineering Department, to introduce today's chief guest.
Good morning all who are present in the seminar hall and others who are students and faculty members who are joining online. I am proud to introduce Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki. Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki is an educator, researcher and innovator who is currently on unpaid leave from IIT Bombay. He has undertaken Energy Swaraj Yatra from November 2020 through a solar bus for 11 years until 2030. In this yatra, Professor Solanki has pledged not to go home until 11 years and stay in the solar yatra bus. He has been honored with the brand ambassador of solar energy of Madhya Pradesh government. Professor Solanki has also been referred to as a solar man of India by Times of India, The Hindu and India Today. Some people also call him Solar Gandhi. Professor Solanki has led major solar project at IIT Bombay. Through his Solars project, he has reached 7.5 million families, providing them clean light. There are several awards to his credit. These awards include IEEE Global Grand Prize of $1 lakh US, Prime Minister Innovation Award for Solars project, first prize in a solar chula design challenge by ONGC, 3 Guinness World Record, 2 Young Scientist Award, CSIR Science and Technology Award, Excellence in RE Skilling, Outstanding Green Scientist. He also chairman of the committee of CBSE and AICT for curriculum of solar syllabus and many more. Professor Solanki has written 7 books and published over 100 research papers internationally. He has 4 US patents to his credit. Following Gandhi ideal, he has coined the word Energy Swaraj. His Energy Swaraj movement is a stepping stone toward energy access, energy sustainability, and climate change mitigation. To establish the Energy Swaraj globally, he has founded the Energy Swaraj Foundation. During 2019, Professor Solanki traveled across the world covering 30 countries to spread the message of solar energy. In his ongoing Energy Swaraj Yatra, he has already traveled 13,000 kilometers, reaching over 25,000 people across 5 Indian states. The 11 years Yatra is expected to cover about 2 lakh kilometers across 28 Indian states, crisscrossing the country 8 to 10 times. Energy Swaraj Yatra bus will be demonstrated after the talk. The bus is fitted with a 3.2 kilowatt solar panels and 6 kilowatt hour of battery storage. The bus is available in a passage of Block A and Block B. These are few of the many achievements of Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki. I welcome you to our institute and invite you to address the gathering. Please, sir.
All right, very good morning to all of you. It's indeed my pleasure to be here in this morning with you and talk to you regarding climate change, Energy Swaraj, what I am doing, what you are doing. Thank you very much, Father Paul, for having me here, Father James, Professor Govardhan, Professor Surendra, Dr. Dhote, all the faculty members and students. Before I start talking, let me ask all of you, how are you? All fine? I believe that is the biggest problem of the world. That people are just fine, oh my God. We are not here in this world just to be fine, isn't it? We are not working so hard, we are not developing science, we are not developing technology, we are not growing economy just to be fine, isn't it? And I keep asking this question everywhere, and to my surprise, everybody is just fine. You ask a thela wala, hawker, kaise ho bhaiya? He'll say fine. You ask a taxi driver, kaise ho? He'll say fine. You ask professors and students, how are you? Fine. You go to a collector and ask, how are you? He will also be fine. So I was really surprised. Gita says that every single act that we perform in our life, whether we want to study well, whether we want to do a good job, whether we want to look beautiful, whether we want to eat something, there's only one objective behind every single act, is to be happy. And therefore I have decided that I will only talk to happy people. So anybody who wants to attend my talk, one of the compulsory conditions to be happy, even if you're not happy, you are forced to be happy during next 40-50 minutes. Is it all okay? And the proof that you are happy is, what is the proof that you are happy? There has to be a smile on the face, Even if it is fake smile, it's okay for the time being, till we get the real smile in our life. Fake is also okay. We say, fake it till you make it. Till you get the real smile, fake is okay, okay? All right, but it's a compulsory condition. So let me ask once again, how are you all? Very nice, so beautiful. So I'm going to talk to you about energy, but before I step in, let us realize who we are. Today, we are the most advanced ever evolved modern species of the 21st century. Never ever in the history of human life, there were people who were so advanced like we are today. We are scientifically advanced, we are technologically advanced, we are economically advanced. We are so advanced that we can go to the moon and we can send mission to the Mars. If there is any problem in anybody's heart, we can actually replace the heart itself. So we are really advanced. In the times of Ramayana, Mahabharata, there were only few people who had vision, Durdrashti. Like Sanjay in Mahabharata had a vision that he can see what is happening in the war field, sitting at his room. Today, we all have that vision, Everybody has a mobile phone, everybody has a WhatsApp video call. You make a video call anywhere, you can see what is happening. So we are really, really advanced. We are really powerful creatures on this planet, and we have the power to change the direction of life on this planet. And when we are so powerful, the Plato, the Greek philosopher, he said, every king should be a philosopher, or only philosopher should become a king. Because power without philosophy is a recipe for disaster. So it is very important to think philosophically. It is important to behave philosophically. Otherwise, we are like a headless chicken. And unfortunately, the modern humans of today more or less looks like a headless chicken, They're just running and running and running. Which direction? Nobody knows. Everybody wants to grow. How much they want to grow? Nobody knows. Should our GDP increase by 5%, 7%, 9%, 10%, 15%, 20%? Nobody knows. Everybody knows only one thing. Our GDP should increase. That's it. It's same as like being a headless chicken. So, we have to be philosophical, and therefore the first question that I keep asking is, how are you? And I'm sure everybody is happy, even if it is fake in this room. All right. But is that happening in this world? When I ask people, our GDP is growing, great. Why do we want to grow our GDP? What is the reason behind it? What is the purpose behind it? Why we want to increase our GDP? And people say, because when GDP grows, there is an increase in the prosperity. I say, great, wonderful. India's GDP has been growing for the last 20 years, with the rate of 5%, 6%. Somebody's playing with the lights. Leave it. Chhod dijiye bhaiya. Raude, sorry. I used the wrong. So our GDP is growing with the 5%, 6%, 7%, 8%, 9%. Ever since last 20 years. Is every time when GDP increases 5%, does it result in increase in smile on the people's faces by 5%? Is it happening? Every time GDP grows by 7%, smiles also grows by 7%. If that would have been the case, we have been really bubbling with joy and energy, isn't it? Happiness should be falling from our face because so much is the growth. But in reality, as we are growing, as we are becoming more advanced, there's an increase in violence, there's an increase in stress, there's an increase in depression, there is an increase in suicide rates, violence rates. So everything is happening in the opposite direction, isn't it? Everybody's experience is like that. So for me, there is something wrong in this world. Kuch to gadbad hai duniya mein. How is it possible that we increase our GDP but smiles are decreasing? There is something wrong in this world. My second philosophical question is, what is the most important thing in your life? What is the most? Nothing can be more important than this. What is most important in your life? What is it? Happiness, very nice. Health. People are not saying but money. Relationships. Parents, children, job, house, all kind of things. So there is a very long list of what is the most important thing in your life. But you know what? Each one of us forget the real most important thing. Let us do an exercise right now. Let us close our nose for 1 minute, 60 seconds only. Would you like to try that? Just 60 seconds? Not more than that? I guarantee you, if you really do this exercise, 80 to 90% people will not be there on the planet anymore. है ना? Most of them will go to the स्वर्ग, कुछ लोग नरक भी चले जाएंगे अपने अपने कर्मों के हिसाब से. So, let me ask question again. What is the most important thing in our life? It's breathing, it's air. Wake up. If that is so important that we can't live without it for more than a minute, have you done anything to protect the air in your life? Have you done anything? No. Have you done anything to pollute the air in your life? Yes, working very hard. Day in, day out, we're really working hard to make the air polluted. Water is so important in our life. Without drinking water, you can't survive more than 3-4 days. Have you done anything to protect the water, purified? No. Have you done something to pollute the water? Yes, everybody. So, these are all the natural elements. GDP is increasing, but nature is degrading. Every single element of nature that supports our life. These are life-supporting elements. These are not some element. Air, water, soil, river, forest, every single natural element is in a bad shape, thanks to the modern humans. So there is something wrong in this world. And many times I feel surprised, oh my God, how do we do this? How we have done this? The very same thing that is supporting our life, we have destroyed the very same thing. So the question many times I ask people, is it a modernity or stupidity? What do you call this? What do you call it? आधुनिकता है कि मूर्खता है? I know what is there inside you, but you are not speaking. What is it? Stupidity, of course. And who is stupid? Who is doing this? Who is doing this? Those who are, they are little smart, they say, humans are doing it. I am not doing it. Humans are doing it. Then you have to, clarify a little bit. Who are the humans? They say, we are doing it. Then I have to go one step further and clarify it. No, not we. Because as soon as we say we, you do not feel responsible. So who is doing it? I am doing it. So who is stupid? Hello? Who is stupid? See? I think we need to really realize that the acts that we are doing today in this world is really stupid, and we are, in पंचतंत्र की कहानियों में एक व्यक्ति जो जिस पेड़ की जिस ब्रांच पर बैठा उसी को काटता है, ऐसे व्यक्ति को मूर्ख कहा जाता है. एंड वी आर ऑल लाइक दैट. जो हमारे जीवन का आधार है, जीने का आधार है, जिसके बिना जी नहीं सकते, उसी को खराब कर रहे हैं. So there is something wrong in this world. We must realize. So every natural element, air, water, forest, river, everything is in a bad shape. I'm going to show you some numbers how bad it is. Air quality index. For a healthy living, we need an air quality index of less than 50. Most of the city in India have the air quality index of 150, 200. Go to Delhi, 400, 500. Even few months back, air quality index in Delhi, some region went to 999. There is no scale beyond 999. So hazardous. Forest is considered the lungs of the planet. Lungs of the planet. And we have cut down the forest by 33%. Imagine if somebody cuts down our lungs by 33%. What will happen? The water is very important, but 2/3 of the world population at least once in a year suffers because of the water scarcity. 500 million people throughout the year are suffering from the water scarcity. Soil. We have degraded the soil by putting so many chemicals that almost 30% of the soil has been converted into dust. You know the difference between soil and dust? In dust, you can't produce anything. That is what we have done today. So, everything, every natural element is in a bad shape. The question is, how come we have come into this state of affairs today? What has happened? What has happened in last 50 years, 100 years, 150 years? How come we are in this state? The answer is the use of energy. We are in this state, we are in this mess because we started using energy. And particularly we started using fossil energy. And fortunately or unfortunately, the energy is the game that everybody is playing. The whole world is a play of energy. In fact, our own internal energy is in a bad shape today, I feel. That's why, despite of all science technology, the smile is not increasing. Our energies are not positive, not creative, not enthusiastic. There's more dullness, there's more negativity. Why? Because our own energies are not high. So that's our internal energy, but external energy that is driving this computer, this projector, this light, our vehicles, our kitchen, that energy also is not in good shape. So both internal and external energy is in a bad shape today, and that's why we are behaving the way we are today. And energy is such an important criteria, it's such an important driver of our social life, our economic life, that there are 17 sustainable development goals, and center of each of this goal is energy. These are United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and center of each of this is energy. So whether it is poverty, hunger, health, education, industrialization, equity, women empowerment, climate change, global peace, partnership, every single thing that drives our life and governs our life has dependence on energy. So great, we need energy. Energy is everything. But the problem is, the kind of energy that we have been using in this world is a problematic. Ever since we started industrializing ourselves 1850, look at, before 1850, most of the energy that we have been using on the planet was biomass. But then 1850s we got to use coal a little bit. Then 1900 we started using coal and oil a little bit. Then 1950 we started using coal, oil and gas a little bit. And by 2020, 2022, we are using biomass, coal, oil, gas, nuclear, hydro, wind, solar, everything. But you know what? The three sources that you see here, gas, oil and coal, are the biggest contributor to our energy mix. 85% energy almost today, 80 to 85% energy comes from these three sources, coal, oil and gas. So what's the problem if it comes from coal, oil and gas? The problem is that it is made, they are all made out of carbon. So the atom that is sitting in each of this fuel is carbon. And whenever we use this fuel, we are responsible for this equation. Carbon plus oxygen equal to energy plus carbon dioxide. Very common, everybody must know it. So we are responsible for this. Carbon plus oxygen equal to energy plus carbon dioxide. So what happens? The problem is that every time you burn carbon, it takes oxygen from the air. Very precious amount of oxygen is taken already. Then we generate energy and produce carbon dioxide. Where we do this? Are you responsible for this equation? Yes. If you are eating food, you are responsible for this. If you are driving vehicles, you are responsible for this. If you are using electricity, you are responsible for this. All of us are responsible for this equation. So what we do? We burn carbon in our kitchen, in our vehicles, in our power plants. We generate energy, we use energy. And what do we do with the carbon dioxide? What do we do? Carbon dioxide का क्या करते हैं? Release in the atmosphere, because it belongs to my father or my grandfather. Is it? Is it like that? Does it belong to you? But we behave as if it all belongs to my father, and I can release as much of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere as much possible. If I'm rich, I will release more. If I'm richer, I will release even more. सब अपने ही पिताजी का है, छोड़ते जाएंगे. You will be surprised that the garbage that we throw in terms of carbon dioxide is huge. You know, the garbage that we throw out of our kitchen every single day is maybe 1 to 2 kilogram per family, maybe 50 to 60 kilogram per month for family. You know how much garbage that we throw in the atmosphere in terms of carbon dioxide? Any guess? Typically, average middle class family would actually result in 400 to 600 kilograms of carbon dioxide emitted in the atmosphere every single month. 10 times more than your kitchen garbage. When you do it, when you're cooking, you're doing it. When you're traveling, you're doing it. When you're using light, you're doing it. When you're using materials, you're doing it. A simple act of brushing your teeth itself takes a lot of energy. You do not realize. Somebody has to manufacture toothpaste, then the tube, then somebody has to manufacture the package. Then it has to be transported thousands of kilometers, hundreds of kilometers. Then it has to be showcased in the shop. That requires energy. Not only toothpaste, you also need toothbrush for manufacturing, packaging, transportation, storage. Not only that, you also require pipes. So, manufacturing of iron, transporting, selling. Then you require water tanks. Then you require water pump. For that you require electricity. Then you require wash basin. That's a ceramic. 2000 degrees centigrade melting temperature. You require electricity to run everything. And after all this, you also require a mirror to see your face in the morning. Just simple activity of brushing your teeth takes so much of energy that we do not realize. Every single square inch of the space in this hall has taken energy. Floor, rooftop, furniture, everything has taken energy, and we are all responsible for carbon dioxide emission in a huge amount. Another problem is the garbage that you throw from your kitchen is a biodegradable, except plastic. 99% of the waste is biodegraded in 4 or 5 months. This garbage that you're throwing in the atmosphere, the average life is 300 years. 300 years. So today's emission will remain in the atmosphere for 300 years. That's the average life, up to 1,000 years. So the problem is, not only that this is a garbage, but this garbage is doing something there. It is a greenhouse gas. And the job of greenhouse gas is to have a greenhouse effect. And the result of greenhouse effect is a warming of our planet. So our planet is becoming warmer and warmer. Why? Look at the CO2 emissions. It has to be constant, but now it is increasing and increasing. Look at the rate at which it is increasing. Look at how much extra carbon dioxide is sitting in the atmosphere. 48% extra carbon dioxide. Anything that changes by 48% must be a very, very big change. If all of you become taller by 48% or shorter by 48%, it is a big change. 48% extra carbon dioxide is sitting in the atmosphere thanks to all modern humans. And what it is doing? It is causing 48% extra global warming. Look at how temperatures of the planet is increasing. Our planet is not a small ball, right? It's a huge planet. And we have all even caused the global warming of the planet itself. Look at the temperature, how it is increasing. The blue curve is a fit, and we are already 1.1 degrees centigrade warmer as compared to the pre-industrial era, 1.1 degrees centigrade. If you look at the average of last 60 months, we are at 1.2 degrees centigrade. If you take an average of last 12 months, we are at almost at 1.25 degrees centigrade. Many people may feel, what is the big deal? Only 1.1 degrees centigrade. Look at our Vidarbha. Temperature goes to 46, 47. What is the big deal about 1.1 degrees centigrade? Is it a big deal? Is it a big deal? It is a very, very big deal. The 1.1 degree centigrade is equal to 1.98 degree Fahrenheit. 2 degree Fahrenheit almost. The human body temperature is 98 degree Fahrenheit. And when the temperature of the body increases by just 2 degree Fahrenheit, what we call, the body has got a fever. When the planet temperature is 2 degrees centigrade higher, shouldn't we call the planet got a fever? And when we get a fever, what happens? We can't work properly, we can't sleep properly, we can't eat properly. Same thing, the planet has lost its balance. It has lost its balance. It can't behave properly. Summers are not summers anymore, winters are not winters anymore, monsoon is not monsoon anymore. Isn't it your experience? Everybody can feel that there is something wrong, things are not normal. So what is happening? The planet is not in control of itself. As a result of that, there are all erratic weather patterns is being observed everywhere on the planet. Every day. What is happening? When the balance is lost, there are more floods, there are more droughts, there are more forest fires. The floods of enormous magnitude. In Japan, 4-5 months back, 2 million people have to be evacuated. 2 million people. So the floods are taking place in Australia, China, Japan, Europe, US, India, everywhere, Africa, everywhere. Look at the sizes of the floods. Forest fires. Why the floods are taking place? Because when the temperatures are higher, there is a higher evaporation of water. That higher evaporated water must fall down somewhere, and because the balance is lost, it is falling anywhere. Sometimes it is not falling at all. So there are droughts also. There are forest fires. Why? Because the temperatures have become drier, higher and drier. The climate in some places is becoming drier. Therefore, the chances of forest fires are increasing. And there is enormous forest fires that we see. One of the well-known is Amazon forest fire. I'm sure everybody knows. But after that, Australian forest fire, Californian forest fire. In recent times, few months back, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Russia, they were all under the forest fires. And these are so enormous forest fires that the powerful countries cannot control it. Only nature controls it. No matter what you do, you will not be able to, put off the forest fires. Millions and billions of animals and insects are dying and getting burned. There is a recent report which says that if we kill all the insects and animals on the planet, the human life will vanish in just 3 months. So these animals and insects which are killing and dying, don't be comfortable that it is not affecting you. You are indirectly getting affected because they are part of the natural ecosystem. We are part of the natural ecosystem. Because of the temperature rise, ice is melting like anything. In the Arctic pole, the ice cover used to be about 7.5 million square kilometer, which has come down to 3.5 to 4 million square kilometer. 40 to 50% of ice has been melted. From the Antarctic pole, there was one big iceberg of 6,000 square kilometer piece of ice was broken off the pole, and scientists were monitoring it, and the initial expectation was that it will get melted in 10 years. Just last week, the entire iceberg got melted within 3 to 4 years timeline. So what I want to tell you is to wake up and realize that we are already in a very, very big mess. We are already in a big danger, and this danger is not small. It is threatening to the very existence of human life on this planet. Seawater is rising. Why? Because the ice is melting, and seawater is rising at this rate of 3.3 millimeter per year. 3.3 millimeter per year. Can you believe it? I'm not talking about some pond. I'm talking about sea, oceans. 3.3 millimeter per year, and this is the fastest sinking city of the world in Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. Not only everywhere, one of the biggest cause of the migration of people in Bangladesh is the increase in seawater. The seawater is getting into the field, into the houses, and people have to live. In India, in Sundarban, seawater is getting into the people's house. It is happening everywhere. All coastal areas are going to suffer from the seawater increase. There are heat waves. There are also cold waves, but also heat waves of enormous size. Canada, when we think of Canada, we think of a snowfall and ice. One of the cities in Canada has experienced a temperature 49.6 degrees centigrade, 50 degrees centigrade in Canada. Can you believe it? 950 people died because of the heat wave. The powerful country like Canada couldn't save the people's life. There are more storms, more cyclones, more typhoons, everywhere. So basically all the disastrous events across the world are increasing and increasing and increasing. And it is going to increase more and more. So therefore, the climate scientist tells us that we need to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. At least, ideally. We should limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade or maximum 2 degrees centigrade. Why 1.5 degrees centigrade? What is going to happen? Is disaster going to happen? कुछ प्रलय आने वाला है क्या? No. प्रलय नहीं आएगा. Nature is not going to give you such an easy death, by the way. You will not die so easily. You know, what will happen, you know, in movie, if there is a very, very bad villain, you know, how does a villain kill a hero? जो खतरनाक विलेन होता है हीरो को कैसे मारता है? तड़पा तड़पा के, है ना? तो नेचर कैसे मारने वाली है? तड़पा तड़पा के ही मारने वाली है. More floods, more droughts, more diseases, more this, more that, all kind of things will happen. There is no sudden disaster is going to happen at 1.5 degrees centigrade, but what is going to happen? That the change in the climate will start to become irreversible. And by 2 degrees centigrade, the entire climate change will become irreversible. In one-way traffic, it's like Lakshman Rekha. You can cross once, but you cannot come back. And once the climate becomes irreversible, the floods and droughts and forest fires and diseases and everything becomes part of the life. And we are going to suffer more frequently than we do right now. So therefore, one of the most important action that we the modern humans can take today is to ensure that the global warming does not cross 1.5 degrees centigrade temperature. And therefore the next question is, how much time is left with us before we touch there, before we do that? Do we have 500 years? 200 years? 100 years? 50 years? 40 years? 30 years? 20 years? 10 years? Not even that. There is what is called carbon budget, the amount of carbon dioxide that you can emit before you touch 1.5 degrees centigrade. So for 1.5 degrees centigrade, the carbon budget is 270 billion tons. And for 2 degrees centigrade, it is 1050 billion tons. That looks like a big number, but when you look at the rate at which we are emitting the carbon dioxide, I hope you can read this number. Can you read this? How much it is? 13 lakh kilogram of carbon dioxide is being emitted in how much time? Just 1 second. My God. What is 1 second? How much is 1 second? This is 1 second. How much is carbon dioxide going in this time? 13 lakh kilogram. 13 lakh kilogram. This much time and you are emitting 13 lakh kilogram of carbon dioxide. Look at the rate at which we are emitting. And therefore, once we divide this number by this number, you will get the time in years. And the time in years will be something like 7 years and 255 days as of November 9th. We are in already January. As of today, the time left is maybe 7 years and 130 days. Or 170 days, sorry. 7 years and 170 days, that's it. We do not have a lot of time. We can't make 5 years plan. We can't depend on the government. We cannot wait for somebody to take an action. We are running out of time. Within this time, what we have to do? Within this time, we need to bring down the carbon emission to zero. Within this time, we have to stop using coal, oil and gas. If at all we want to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. That is what we need to do. But the problem is that the modern humans are doing something else. They are busy doing something else. What? Everybody wants a growth. Every country wants a growth. Every country wants GDP should grow. And when GDP grows, the consumption of energy grows. And 85% energy comes from coal, oil and gas. So every time when GDP is growing, your climate change is also worsening. So there is a problem. One side, we need increase in energy supply. Other side, we need decrease in energy supply. That's a contradictory requirement. How are we going to fulfill it? क्या करना चाहिए? Energy supply बढ़ाना चाहिए, कम करना चाहिए. And as I said earlier, this is just not a problem of the climate change. This is not a problem of the weather pattern change. It is actually a threat to the existence of humanity on this planet. So it's not a small problem. It's a threat to the existence of humanity on the planet. Dalai Lama mentioned 1.5 years back, he said, more and more people are realizing that the humanity's existence itself is at stake. And only doing prayers, pranayam and meditation is not going to be enough. We need to take action. So it's a big problem. And I believe that anybody who solves this problem should just not get 1 or 2 Nobel Prize, but should get 8 to 10 Nobel Prizes. Such a big problem. Any one of you want a Nobel Prize? Nobody wants? Only one person wants? So at least clap for that person, right? So Father, it's very simple. If you want a Nobel Prize, solve this problem. Ensure that there is a growth without climate change. That's the problem. How do we do this? And that we have to do it in a very short time. We do not have time. And the solution that is offered and provided is we need drastic and immediate change in energy use pattern. If at all you want to solve the problem, what do you need? You need drastic change and immediate change in the energy use pattern. These are the two very important conditions that must be applied and fulfilled if at all we want human life to survive on this planet in times to come. Drastic change, immediate change. Anything that you are doing to mitigate climate change, make sure that you qualify these two conditions. And if you are not going to qualify these two conditions, whatever you are going to do is going to be only feel good factor. You are only going to feel good about it. You may get some award and this and that, but nothing will happen to the climate change, almost nothing. So therefore, what is drastic and immediate change that we are looking for? Is the plantation going to be a drastic and immediate change? If you are all going to plant one tree every day, is it going to be drastic and immediate? It cannot be drastic. Why? Because the plant takes 15 years, 20 years time to grow before it absorbs 1 or 1.5 ton of carbon dioxide. So that cannot be drastic. And therefore, plantation is good for the planet. We should do a lot of plantation, for a lot of other reasons. But if you want to save and mitigate the climate change by plantation, that is not going to work. Is that clear to everyone? What else can do? Is the switching of some lights and all is going to help us to mitigate climate change? No. Most of the energy conservation efforts are like, what they do, what they suggest? Stop the tap water while you're brushing, stop the running tap water when you're shaving. That is nothing. That's not going to help us because it is not going to qualify drastic and immediate. So in my view, what could be drastic? The drastic change would be switching 100% to solar energy by surrendering electricity connection. Not by connected everywhere, no. Switch to solar energy 100% by surrendering electricity connection. That is a drastic change. So when should it happen? Next condition. When should it happen? Immediately. हम सबको बिजली कनेक्शन छोड़ देना चाहिए और कब छोड़ देना चाहिए? आज ही छोड़ देना चाहिए. Then there is a good chance. You're getting my point? पीछे आ रहे समझ में? तो आज शाम को जब घर जाएंगे तो write a love letter to MSCB. Dear MSCB, thank you so much for your services. Now we are aware we are not going to use your connection. I will generate my own energy. That is what is required. So do it. And I'm serious about it. And when you start thinking, you will also realize that there cannot be any alternative way. The energy is the cause of the climate change. Energy will become the solution of the climate change. When there is a cancer, and if you want to correct the cancer, you need to kill the cancerous cells in your body. Cannot be any other way. When there is a climate change, you have to remove the cause. And the cause of the climate change is use of fossil fuels, coal, oil and gas. So you have to remove the cause. There cannot be any other way to solve the climate change problem. So we need to take a drastic and immediate action. But even before we do that, let us be very clear that we are abided and we are governed by certain laws of human existence. You can't just do things blindly. Otherwise, as a modern humans, what we have been doing, we are solving one problem and creating one problem. I hope that was the case. I hope that was the case. What we are actually doing, we are solving one problem and creating two problems. As a result of that, nature is degrading, everything is going in a bad shape. Why? Because we are not in balance, we are actually becoming degrading every time. So there are some fundamental things, I call them fundamental laws of human existence or sustainability. And these are fundamental in nature. What does it mean? That whether you like or not, you should follow this. You are abided by this. Like a law of gravity. You can't say, I don't like gravity and therefore I'm going to jump on earth like a moon. You can't do that. Law of Newton, every action is reaction. You can't say, I don't like Newton. I'm not going to follow this rule. Can you say that? You can't. Therefore, these are fundamental in nature. Whether you like it or not, you are governed by this law. These are based on what Gandhiji said. He said, there is only enough in the world for everyone's need, not for anyone's greed. I'm sure everybody has heard it, isn't it? Everybody? Why did he say that? He said this almost 100 years back. Why? There was no climate change. There was no industry. Still he said that there is only enough in the world, enough for everyone's need, but not for the greed. Why? Have you ever thought about this? Very simple logic is that everything on this planet is finite and constant. Everything. The size of the planet itself is finite. We are just hanging in the air, by the way, if you do not realize. We are just hanging in the air. And despite our growth in the production and consumption and population, there is no way you can stretch the earth and make it bigger. Can we? We can't increase the surface area. We can't increase the water on the planet. We can't increase the soil on the planet. We can't increase the minerals on the planet. Everything is fixed. And when everything is fixed, how should your needs be? How should your production be? How should your consumption be? Fixed. But look at the modern arrogant humans. What we are trying to do? We are trying to increase our production and consumption all the time. It cannot be more than a scientific arrogance of modern humans that we actually try to do that. Continuously increase production, increase consumption, increase production, increase consumption. It is not possible, is it? Is it possible? It's impossible. You can't do that. With your stealing and this and that, you can do that. थोड़ा बहुत चोरी ओरी करके fix कर सकते हैं इसको. Isn't it? By the way, if you do not know that we all are big chores, big thieves. पता है ना सबको? नहीं पता है? Okay. I'll make you realize. When we take 100 rupees from someone and return back, we say, loan liya tha. We have taken loan. But when we take 100 rupees from someone and do not give back, what is that? Stealing, robbing. Ever since we started using bore wells, we started taking water from the underground. But we never returned it back. We never charged it. As a result of that, the water table is going down. Ever since we started using more and more items, we started cutting forest, but we never planted it back. What is it called? चोरी नहीं है? किसने किया है? पानी किसने लिया है? हेलो किसने लिया है? मैंने. पीछे पानी किसने लिया है? आप लोग नहाते हैं पीछे लोग? मतलब पानी लेते हैं ना, तो पानी जिसने पानी लिया वो चोर है. तो चोर कौन है? मैं. वेरी नाइस. इतने सुंदर सुंदर smiling chores are here, father. So this is not possible. We can't increase our production and consumption. We can only do it by stealing from our future generation. That we have done already. We have stolen water, we have stolen soil, we have stolen forest, we have stolen many things. You can only do this by stealing. And therefore, the first fundamental law of human existence is that in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be finite consumption. And Earth is an ecosystem, a biological ecosystem of finite resources. And therefore, our consumption has to be finite. Am I clear to everyone? No matter what you do, your needs have to be limited and your consumption has to be finite. If at all, we want to ensure that the human life survives on this planet. Gandhiji also said, not the mass production, but the production by masses is required, not the mass production. Because every time you do the mass production, every time you do the centralization, what happens? It results in an unequal distribution of resources. And whenever there is an unequal distribution of resources, whenever there is an unequal distribution of wealth, it would also result in inequity. Whenever there is an inequity in the world, it will also result in lack of peace. It will result in violence. And look at the history of last 30, 40 years. As the science is growing, technology is growing, brotherhood is not growing. The love among people is not growing. Why? Because we are following the wrong model. Not possible. And therefore, the second fundamental rule is that in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be distributed production only. When your resources are finite, your production has to be distributed. Every parent has a finite property. Every parent is a finite property. And if there are 4, let's say, children of a parent, if a parent decides to give more wealth to one person, it is only possible when somebody else gets less. And therefore resources are finite. It is important that we have the distributed production. And therefore the 2 fundamental laws, if you want to survive human race on this planet, is limit your consumption and localize your production. Whatever you do, limit it. And once you limit your consumption, localize your production. And this is universal. You can apply everywhere. If you are drinking water, how should you do it? Limit your consumption, don't waste. And once you limit, where should the water come from? Local. It should not come from some 1,000 kilometers. If you are eating food, what you should do? Limit your consumption. And where the food should be generated? Locally. If you are wearing clothes, what should happen? Limit your consumption. Do not fill up your cupboard with all kind of clothes which you are never going to wear, or maybe once in a life. So limit it. And where should the cloth be coming from? Locally. If you apply this to energy, limit your consumption. First thing, limit your energy consumption is a fundamental to existence. You can't just produce anything and everything. And once you limit your consumption, localize the production, produce it locally, and when you do this, this becomes energy Swaraj. So energy Swaraj is generating and fulfilling your energy needs locally, wherever you are. And today's technology allows us to do that. It is viable. I did my PhD in solar energy technology some 2 decades back. I couldn't have imagined that the solar energy would be so cheap as it is today. It's unbelievably cheap. And therefore, what we need to do is, if we really want to solve the problems of the climate change, we need to adopt energy Swaraj. So, if you are going to switch on to solar energy 100%, if you are going to surrender your electricity connection, what I have done is I have created a 3-step approach just to make life simple for you and understanding what I said so far. The first step, if you want to go to solar, is avoid the use of energy as much as possible, even if it is solar energy. Don't use solar energy also. I'm a professor of solar energy, I've written books, and I'm brand ambassador of solar energy, and my job is to promote solar energy. But the first rule is, don't use solar energy also. Is it clear? There is absolutely no manufacturing in the world which does not have impact on the environment. Absolutely nothing. Nothing can be carbon neutral. Nothing can have zero impact on the environment. Every time you are going to manufacture something, it is always going to have impact. And making solar panels is such a complicated process. Silicon, you need to purify it, and the melting temperature of silicon is 1480 degrees centigrade. 3 times you need to melt it. You need to make silicon, pure silicon, then you need to make silicon crystal. From silicon crystal, you need to make silicon wafer. From wafer, you need to make solar cell. From solar cell, you need to make module. For making module, you need glass. You need aluminum frame. You need wire. And once the module is ready, you need a structure to stand it. And after that, you need cables. Then you need electronics to process the power. Then you need battery to store it. So much of materials are required, which is always going to have some impact on the environment. And not only that, by the end of life of all these materials, solar panels and everything, again you are going to spend energy. Again you are going to use chemicals. Again you are going to pollute environment. And therefore, the best thing is, don't use it. Anyway, the best thing in life is, what is the best thing in life? Don't do anything. Isn't it? दुनिया में सबसे अच्छा काम क्या है? कुछ मत करो. Isn't it? What is the single act that can give you the greatest pleasure? Is a deepest meditation, isn't it? Nothing can be better than that deepest meditation. And what you do in meditation? Nothing. Therefore, what is the best thing in life? Do nothing. Don't use energy. Avoid using solar energy also. How much? 1/3 use of energy should be avoided. 1/3. So further, when I started looking at my home, what can be avoided? And I found so many examples that can be avoided. The first thing in my house, I looked at refrigerator. Can we avoid use of refrigerator? Answer is yes. You know, in Mahabharata, in Krishna भगवान को दूध दही मक्खन इतना पसंद था. इतने पोस्टर हमने देखे होंगे भगवान कृष्ण के. किसी पोस्टर के बैकग्राउंड में रेफ्रिजरेटर का फोटो देखा है? नहीं. Use of refrigerator can be avoided. The most perishable item that you keep in refrigerator is milk. If you boil milk twice, it doesn't spoil. Doctor said vegetables should be eaten fresh. And there are so many people selling vegetable. But what people do in city? They will buy the vegetables for one entire week. And systematically उसको फिर धीरे धीरे बासी करेंगे. फिर अच्छे से वो बासी हो जाएगा तब उसको पका के खाएंगे. Do we do this? I think many people are smiling and actually they do this. Food should not be eaten. You know, food should be eaten within 4 to 6 hours after it is cooked. And if you keep the food in refrigerator and heat it up and eat it, what is it? Tamasic energy increases. And in India we say, जैसा अन्न वैसा मन. So खाना तामसिक खाएंगे तो मन भी तामसिक रहेगा. So therefore, use of refrigerator should be avoided. It is not really required. I keep saying अभी तो हम लोग बिगड़े 25-30 साल पहले. उसके पहले तो बिना फ्रिज के रहते थे सब लोग. अभी बिगड़े, फ्रिज चाहिए, कूलर चाहिए, ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए. You are getting my point? Everyone? Oh, nice. So if you are getting my point, आज शाम को घर जाके सब लोग OLX पे अपना अपना फ्रिज भेज देंगे. Before it becomes, too late, because your mind is like, very fluctuating. In 2 days' time, you may decide something else. So, sell it today. In my house at IIT Bombay, we don't have refrigerator. We don't have geyser. We don't have AC. We don't have microwave. And I'm also not poor. ऐसा भी नहीं कि गरीब आदमी हूँ. और ऐसा भी नहीं कि मैं दुखी हूँ, ये सब नहीं है सामान तो. और उससे भी बड़ी बात है कि अभी तक मेरा तलाक भी नहीं हुआ है. What I'm saying is, even if you follow all this thing, you will also be saved. Don't worry. You will not get divorced if you stop doing this. But by using this, we almost commit a crime. One good bath of hot water with the help of electricity. I mean, solar and other means it's good. LPG is also good. But one good bath of hot water with electricity, we almost use 1 unit of electricity. With 1 hour sitting in air conditioner, we use almost 1 unit of electricity, isn't it? Electrical people must know. And 1 unit of electricity is resulting in almost 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide. And this 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide, once it's emitted, remains there for 300 years. So 1 hour of comfort, 1 bath of comfort is a discomfort for somebody for 300 years. Whatever we are doing today, somebody is going to bear it for 300 years. 10 generations are going to bear it for 300 years. 10 generations. What do you call such an act? That you perform today and 10 generations are going to bear it. ऐसे काम को क्या बोलेंगे? जो हम करेंगे और हमारे 10 पीढ़ियां भुगतेगी कौन? We are not going to stay for 300 years. So who is going to bear the consequences? Our children, our generations, our future generation. 10 generations. What do you call such an act? ऐसे काम को क्या बोलेंगे जो तुम करो और 10 पीढ़ियां भुगते, तुम्हारे आने वाली पीढ़ियां भुगते? क्या बोलेंगे? पाप है, isn't it? क्राइम है, पाप है. और जो पाप करता है उसको क्या बोलते हैं? हेलो, पापी. पापी कौन? हम नहीं, मैं. पापी कौन? I am that person is my main job of this talk, just to make you feel and realize. पापी हैं, और क्या बोला था? चोर हैं, stupid हैं, और जो हो रहा है उसको देख के लगता है सच में है. There cannot be second doubt in anybody's mind. So we need to avoid use of energy as much as possible, at least by 1/3. If you cannot avoid it, minimize. In this hall, all these curtains, if you lift the curtain, there is so much of light. But look at the modern humans. And it's not only this hall. Everywhere I go and talk, I must have given some 450 talks by now in my yatra. What people do? They make beautiful halls and then windows. And in the windows, they will put beautiful curtains. And they put down the curtains and switch on the lights. How nice. Do we do this? Example is here. We do this. I'm sure the principal's room light is still on. I was checking it. It is on. Why? Isn't it crime? We do it. We do it. So we misuse the electricity. And not only electricity, energy. We overuse the energy and we inefficiently use the energy. So at least misuse, overuse and inefficient use of energy should be avoided as much as possible. First avoid it, if not minimize it. How do we minimize it? Use very efficient appliances. There are all kind of appliances available in the world today, whether it is lighting, ventilation, fan, air conditioner, cooler, everything is available in a very efficient alternative. So much efficient that less than 50% of power is required. LED less than 50% is required. For fans, there are BLDC fans, less than 50% power is required. The difference between 1-star rated and 5-star rated appliances is 65%. So if you are going to use refrigerator, use 5-star. And don't use 3 doors and 4 doors refrigerator. People are making room itself within the refrigerator. 3 दरवाजे 4 दरवाजे और करते क्या है उसके अंदर अचार रखते हैं. मुझे लगता है जीवन में इससे बड़ा पाप नहीं हो सकता. अचार फ्रिज में. एसी क्या करता है? एसी का काम है बॉडी को कूल करना. एसी क्या करता है? इन अ रूम यू मेक अ बिग बेडरूम एंड वो एसी क्या करता है? एसी पहले छत को ठंडा करता है, फिर दीवालों को ठंडा करता है, फिर फ्लोर को ठंडा करता है, फिर उस रूम में सारे फर्नीचर को ठंडा करता है और सबसे आखिरी में 6 फुट और 2.5 फुट को ठंडा करता है. ओ माय गॉड, इतना ही सही ठंडा करना है. बट वी डू द एंटायर कूलिंग. व्हाट अ इंटेलिजेंट वे ऑफ डूइंग इट, इजंट इट? Congratulations. This is how we are behaving. This is how the planet is in bad shape. So minimize the use of energy by another 1/3. And if you cannot avoid, minimize it. If you cannot minimize, as a last step, only generate only 1/3. What actually you should do is use only 1/3 energy, ideally. And where should you generate? Locally. Don't again generate some 1,000 kilometers away and big power plant, use all kind of transmission lines and distribution lines and bring it here. No, that is not going to help. So the best thing is become independent producer and generator of energy. Become independent in energy. Adopt energy Swaraj. Become Atmanirbhar. So generate as little as possible, but generate locally only. So therefore rule is AMG. Will you remember AMG? A means avoid, M means minimize, and G means how much? 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Avoid 1/3, minimize 1/3, generate only 1/3 energy. So follow the AMG rule. And if you're not going to follow the AMG rule, you will have to say OMG. Oh my God. Solar energy इतना महंगा है. Oh my God, छत पे जगह नहीं. Oh my God, policy नहीं, subsidy नहीं, this नहीं, that नहीं. All kind of excuses will come. So make sure that we all follow AMG rule as much as possible. And therefore, I believe the solution to the climate change is adoption of energy independence, energy Swaraj, not only in one institute, one country, one state, but all over the world, because energy is the main problem for the climate change. And in 2018-19, when we got this award from international competition, there was a IEEE organized international competition for empowering billion people. And we presented the idea of Energy Swaraj, and we were the global winner of $100,000 money. And we have donated that money and founded this Energy Swaraj Foundation. So my yatra of 11 years long is happening under this. And I hope you understand now that why I have decided to leave my home for 11 years and I'm going to go back home only in 2031. Because the matter is very serious. इट इज़ नॉट बिकॉज मेरा स्क्रू ढीला हो गया है. प्रोफेसर का हो जाता है कभी कभी, IIT में तो हो ही जाता है. It's not because of that, but because it's a required. We need to all act right now. And I also believe that it cannot happen with the government efforts alone. And when I traveled across the world in 2018-19, what I realized that everywhere, every government want only the same thing, just economic growth, at the cost of everything else. The loss of environment, loss of relationship, loss of people, loss of peace, everything is okay. And therefore, government cannot do it on its own. Anyway, the governments are elected for short time, 4-5 years. They do not have enough time, they do not have enough resources. And therefore, I believe everyone who is user of energy has contributed to the climate change. And therefore, everyone must become the part of the solution also. And Energy Swaraj should become a public movement. Everyone should start doing it. And when we say it becomes a public movement, when each one of us take pride in saying, I do not have electricity connection at home. इसमें गर्व होना चाहिए. मेरे घर बिजली कनेक्शन नहीं है, उसमें प्राइड होना चाहिए. When we take pride in saying that I am part of the solution, I am not part of the pollution, then it will become a movement. When there is a flag in front of our institution, in front of our home, which will tell that this house, this institution does not contribute to the carbon dioxide emission, then there will be a movement. And I think without movement, we cannot solve this problem because time is running out and the rate at which we are polluting it is much, much higher. So therefore, it has to become everybody's responsibility, not for the society, not for the government, but for your own children, not for anybody else. सिर्फ अपने बच्चों को जीने लायक छोड़ दो. That's a condition. And I keep telling the parents, don't stop saying your children, I love you. Stop saying it's a fake love. Why? Because his own existence, her own existence, whatever is required for existence, air, water, and soil, these are the three things, basic things required for existence. Mobile phone is required secondary. Clothes are required later on. But unless there is a water, air, and soil, the person cannot live. And therefore, if you really love your children, make sure that you give him or her a clean water, clean air, and clean soil. So we need public movement, and I believe that every individual and academic institution will play a very, very important role, and they will become the center of this movement. Why institutions? Because this is the place where we are shaping the future of the future generation. If we give them appropriate behavior of how to use energy, how to generate your own energy, how to fulfill your own energy, I'm sure they will adopt this in their own life. And therefore, it becomes our utmost duty to ensure that we teach and we show by our actions and behavior that we are generating our own energy needs. So we need institutions to become energy independent. We need individuals to become energy independent. And therefore, I believe the institutions and individuals are going to be the center of the Energy Swaraj movement. What I also realized in my yatra that unless people are energy literate, and let me tell you that 99% people are illiterate in terms of energy. We are all big user of energy, but we do not know where it comes, how many thousand kilometers, what is the impact on the environment, how much carbon dioxide I am emitting, how can I save, how can I conserve, how can I generate on solar. There are very simple questions that every energy user should know, does not know. Therefore, what I have done is I have created what is called energy literacy training to make people literate. And I think every vehicle owner must have a license to drive vehicle on the road. Every user of energy must have a license to use energy. And the energy literacy training is that kind of license. So this training is available for free. Earlier, we used to provide it at 100 rupees, but because there is no time and we want to reach everyone, we have made it free. So learn.energyswaraj.org, this training is available. And I hope, Father Paul, that every student, every teacher, let us make it compulsory that within a month, it's a 3 hours training only, it takes 3 to 4 hours, and there are 12 modules, it's very engaging. There are quizzes inside, there are examples inside, and there is also certificate if you score 60% of marks. So let us make it compulsory for everyone. Second support that required for creating movement is that we do not take any funds from the government, and because we want to create a public movement. And I really request all of you to become part of the Energy Swaraj movement. Institute can take a membership. provide us a financial support. All of you as an individual can also become member at 3,650 rupees per year is what we ask. And even student can become member at 365 rupees per year, so that we can actually use these funds and and create a public movement. And so the way to contribute to Energy Swaraj is by taking this membership, energysuraj.org/member.php. And we are also going to launch what is called Energy Swaraj clubs. So these are the centers, and we call them nodes of action of Energy Swaraj movement. So there has to be the action node. So Energy Swaraj clubs become action node, and we can start Energy Swaraj club in this institution. There can be more than one club also. Different groups can form a different club and focus on different places. So there are many ways people can become part of the Energy Swaraj movement: by becoming a member, by becoming energy literate, by surrendering electricity connection, skilling yourself and starting kind of entrepreneurship in solar. There is a conference that we are going to organize, Action for Restoring Environment, and there is also awards that we are going to announce by the end of this year. It's called, awards will be announced soon, but it will be given by the end of the year, which is called Energy Swaraj Awards. Anybody who follows AMG principle and becomes energy independent as an individual and institutions will be eligible for award. So these are the ways you can become part of it. There is an app called Energy Swaraj Movement in Yatra app. You can download it. You can find out where the route is, where we are going, what is our plan. You can host. So there are so many things you can do through our app. So that's it. At the end, I would reiterate and re-emphasize once again that climate has changed. It is not changing. It has changed. We all are the user of energy. We all are the user of fossil energy, and therefore we all have contributed to the climate change. And therefore we all must take part in correcting the climate change drastically and immediately. And if we do not do that, it is expected that by the end of this century, which is about 78 years from now, the global temperatures will rise minimum 3 degrees centigrade and maximum 6 degrees centigrade. When there is so much of gadbad on the planet at 1.1 degree centigrade only, imagine what will happen at 3 degrees centigrade of global warming or 6 degrees centigrade of global warming. And if that happens, there is a very big question whether human life can survive or not. And if it is going to survive, how many numbers? In what shape? So it is a question of just 80 years, if not 80, 100 years, maybe 120 years, maybe 150 years. But we need to take an action. We don't have centuries and centuries of time. And if we don't do that, we say that once upon a time, there were dinosaurs on this planet. They are not there anymore. They disappeared due to the climate change. If we continue to behave like this, maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years later, a new species will appear on this planet, and they will say, once upon a time, there were humans on this planet. Oh my God. What are we talking in this beautiful morning, Monday? I hope that will not happen. I hope humans are intelligent enough. I hope we have everything that we need to take a corrective actions, and actions are within our reach. I hope everybody will take an action and adopt to Energy Swaraj, create Energy Swaraj movement, and for our future generation, we are going to leave a beautiful, sustainable world behind. Thank you very much once again for your attention. Thank you. Before I take a question answer, there is a video that I wanted to show you. And then we can have a question answer session. Okay, let me give some details. Hold, pause. Let me give some details of this video. It's a very short video of dinosaur. And dinosaur once goes to United Nations Assembly and gives a speech. So let us listen to dinosaur speech in UN Assembly.
You okay? You need a minute? Cool. Okay. Listen up, people. I know a thing or two about extinction. And let me tell you, and you'd kind of think this would be obvious, going extinct is a bad thing. And driving yourselves extinct? In 70 million years, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. At least we had an asteroid. What's your excuse? You're headed for a climate disaster, and yet every year governments spend hundreds of billions of public funds on fossil fuel subsidies. Imagine if we had spent hundreds of billions per year subsidizing giant meteors. That's what you're doing right now. Think of all the other things you could do with that money. Around the world, people are living in poverty. Don't you think helping them would make more sense than, I don't know, paying for the demise of your entire species? Let me be real for a second. You've got a huge opportunity right now. As you rebuild your economies and bounce back from this pandemic, this is humanity's big chance. So here's my wild idea. Don't choose extinction. Save your species before it's too late. It's time for you humans to stop making excuses and start making changes. Thank you.
Extinction is bad thing. And don't choose extinction. Dinosaur had reason because of the meteoroid hitting the planet. What is the reason for the humans to get extinct? So it is really, really very serious matter, and I hope I have done my best to bring the awareness to you and the urgency of the action that is required. So thank you very much once again. If there are any questions, I'll be very happy to take some questions. Yeah. Yes. Good morning. How are you? Very nice. Okay.
Percentage of emitting carbon dioxide, and you have said that we have to shift from carbon to something like solar. So is it possible to our people of India to afford those solar panels and all those things?
Well, I mean, if you cannot afford the solar panels, afford to get extinct. Do we have choice? By the way, good that you asked the question. Let us realize that we do not buy things because it is cheap or expensive. For example, what is the price of the gold? 50,000 rupees for 10 grams. Are there shops in the Nagpur which is selling gold? There are. People are buying. What is the price of a car? 4 lakh, 5 lakh, 6 lakh, 10 lakh rupees. Are there people who are buying cars? Is it expensive? So gold is expensive, car is expensive. People do buy it. Many people buy it. So let us realize that we buy things when it becomes part of our priority. When it becomes part of our priority, 20,000 rupees mobile phone is not a big deal. You have 5,000 rupees alternative available to you. There are two-wheelers available, alternative to car. But we buy things because it becomes part of our priority. The moment we realize that we are in a serious crisis, we are in climate emergency, and if you're not going to do it now, it will be never, do now or never, the dinosaur said. So if you cannot afford it, afford to get extinct. Choice is ours. But I think this criteria that it is expensive and therefore we can't do it is not a correct criteria. Follow the AMG model, it will never be expensive. So I think, and the beauty of solar is you can start by 1 room, 2 room, 3 room, 4 room. You start buying a small lamp, 500 rupees, start studying in that, start replacing one light, start replacing 2 lights and fans, and you can do it. So I don't think that affordability is really barrier. And every time when you think of solar, people always think of rural area. Why? Let people in urban area buy first. Why should the people in rural area buy it? Somehow our government have understood that the solar has to be pushed in other way. Mobile technology, TV technology, computer technology, everything goes from top to bottom. But for some reason unknown to me, government thinks solar should come from bottom to top. Why? ऐसा नहीं ना, उल्टा नहीं हो सकता. So let people who can afford it buy it. Panel prices will further go down and everybody will afford it. So this affordability, I don't think is a question anymore, and we can't afford to actually think like that. 7-8 years is not a big time, isn't it? So if you want to survive and once climate become irreversible, दुनिया के सारे लोग लंगोट पहन के घूमने लगेंगे, फिर भी climate को ठीक नहीं कर पाएंगे. So it is now or never. Let us realize that. When you are surfing Instagram, you are not listening to me? All right.
So this hydroelectric project, actually they are harmless. So why don't we think of promoting more of hydroelectric production of energy?
Well, hydroelectric projects are harmless is also not correct. When we have the large size hydrodreams, as per the technical parameters, anything more than 25 megawatt is also not considered good, because it actually entirely changes the ecosystem of that area. And the backwaters are hundreds of squares of kilometers. So lot of trees goes underground, and when the trees goes underground, under the water, then there is a digestion of it, and then it releases methane. So that also is methane is 20 times more dangerous than the CO2. So that is number one. Number two, India is a flat country, and therefore we do not have a lot of resources of hydroelectricity. In fact, the kind of money that it takes and displacement it causes, if you look at the percentage of hydroelectricity as a share of India's electricity, it is going down and down and down. Today I think it's only 12 to 14, 15% electricity comes from hydro. So we don't have resources. It is also not very clean. It also takes time and results in a lot of displacement. Small hydros in hilly area is definitely a most welcome thing to happen. Anybody else? Yes.
So nowadays many people are going for rooftop solar plant and so on, and like they are going for hybrid things, like they are having their MSCB connection also and rooftop. So will this solve the purpose, or only like when you talk about surrendering the connection? So what is the difference between completely surrendering the connection and using solar alternative?
Thank you very much. Once again, very nice, very interesting question. Is it good to go for net metering, or, as I'm saying, surrender connection? Let me tell you a small story. When my yatra was going in Gujarat, and in Gujarat adoption of solar is very high, and I was very happy, only for the first 2 weeks. Then I was also very sad, because after one of my talk in one of the university, one professor came to me and he said, "Sir, आपने मेरी आंखें खोल दी." क्या हुआ? बोले 3-4 दिन पहले सिस्टर का फोन आया था कि भैया मैंने 6 किलोवाट का सोलर पैनल अपने छत पे लगा लिया, और पहले एक कमरे में एसी होता था, अभी तीनों कमरों में एसी लगा दिया, फिर भी बिजली बचती, बताओ क्या करूं? Solar is not for reducing your electricity bills. Solar is for making life sustainable. The net metering people, whoever is adopting, they are doing it for saving money, not for the love of environment, by the way. Most of the time, it is for the love of money that they want to save. And whenever we are grid connected, whenever the supply is unlimited, it is guaranteed that there will be misuse of energy. There will be overuse of energy. If there would have been a local production of electricity in the room, on the roof itself, the principal sir would have switched off his lights before stepping 1 second out of the room. you should get a habit of switching off, isn't it? But that has not happened because it doesn't matter. If you forget to switch off for the whole night, it is not going to matter. Why? Because supply is unlimited. Number one. Number two, when you net meter, your bill is never going to be zero. You're always going to pay for some charges. Number three, when you're net metered, you're never making government free from generation. In the night, you're going to take electricity. In the night, for supplying you electricity, the government has to burn coal. No other alternative. So it is going to burn coal. It is going to use all infrastructure, thousands of kilometers of railway line, transmission line, distribution line, coal import, coal burning, everything is going to happen. That's not also a good thing. Government will never become enough. You know how much money we spend in importing energy? 12 lakh crore rupees, which is equal to 50% of the foreign exchange that country earns. That is really not good for any country. So you are not going to make the government free. Then every time when power shuts down, your solar system will also shut down. That is also not good. So there are many disadvantages I see. I mean, of course, putting some solar is always better than doing nothing. But I think the best thing is become independent, disciplined user of energy. Then you are making government free, you are becoming disciplined user, then you are actually contributing into the climate change mitigation in a much, much better way. So therefore, I personally believe, and the net metering by the government will not allow you to happen, very smoothly. So there are a lot of restrictions, You can't do this, you can't do that, and you buy electricity at 6.5 rupees, but you sell only at 2 rupees. Lots of things are there. Because whenever it is being regulated, government will not let you, because they always think of DISCOM. DISCOMs are all in a bad shape, financial bad shape. Probably this could be one way to correct their health, but not really the environment health. So I would strongly suggest आत्मनिर्भर बनना चाहिए. प्रधानमंत्री बोलते हैं ना, देश आत्मनिर्भर बनना चाहिए, और हम आत्मनिर्भर बनेंगे तो देश आत्मनिर्भर बनेगा.
Years, you said that you are going to continue on this yatra with the objective that it is going to be energy Swaraj movement. In fact, almost in a country like ours, you have to reach out to almost around 25 crore houses, public 50 crores people. So can you please share how you are really going to reach out to such a wide spectrum of spectrum of people, and then
if I am going to reach to 25 crore household, what you are going to do? The whole idea is that I can't do it. I'm not here that, I never thought that I will do it. The movement means everybody does it. That's a movement, If I'm going to do it, then it is never going to work. And therefore, the whole idea that
I want to hear that only.
Yeah.
How you are going to make it?
So for example, I came to this institute, and I hope with the support of this institute, we will create many people who are going to be energy sensitive, number one, so become aware about it, all the facts and figures I've given. I hope everybody will do the energy literacy course, so that you become even further qualified to use energy. Then you start switching, follow A rule, A, M rule, and then G rule. And I hope that 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, sometime, you're going to be energy independent and contribute. And not only, the climate change is such a problem that only you become carbon neutral and you stop emitting carbon, but your neighbor is still emitting carbon, you're still going to pay for it, because once carbon dioxide goes in the atmosphere, it affects everyone. Carbon dioxide doesn't know any boundaries. So whether you are doing it, your neighbor is doing, your neighboring country is doing, you have to still pay for it. And therefore, the problem of the world is every human on this planet has to follow this, and that's not going to be simple. And that's a very big task, and therefore everyone has to be contributing to it. Young children has to contribute to it. All of us, an academic institution has to contribute. Then only it can become public movement, and it cannot be limited to India. Because if some other country is emitting a lot of carbon, I'm still paying for it. So it cannot be limited to India. It has to become a global movement. It has to spread beyond. And that's what our plan is also, that after 2-3 years, we'll start moving to other countries also. And I hope in 2-3 years, there'll be sufficient centers and sufficient nodes where this action will start. And that is how it can happen. There cannot be any other way.
As you said, there has to be sufficient nodes, there has to be sufficient centers. What exactly the centers or nodes means?
I mean, it's an action. For example, I will discuss after that the energy Swaraj clubs, for example. So once you become energy literate, make others energy literate. Not you may others means with the help of NSS, NCC, AICT's 1,100 hours norm. You go to other school, you go to other society and tell them why don't you become energy literate. So that's awareness part. Now second part is you adopt to solar energy, become independent and help others to adopt it. So 4 actions हैं. खुद energy aware बनो, दूसरों को बनाओ. खुद solar energy को अपनाओ, दूसरों को अपनाओ. That's it. And keep doing it and spreading it as much as we can within our capacity. That's what is required. That will what is makes a public movement. Yes, Father.
As you rightly said, that every solar installation also contributes in some insignificant manner, at least, to atmospheric pollution. I was just imagining if every household in the country has got mounted solar panels and the batteries that are connected to that, will it substantially reduce the present level of atmospheric pollution? Or have you made some kind of calculation or projected calculation with regard to what would be the carbon dioxide emitted into the atmosphere if more than 1 billion people in their own families go for solar power?
Well, I mean, honestly, I have not done such a calculation and I should do this now, having you told this. But that's why I said avoid and minimize is 66%. So before you generate, we should avoid and minimize. So bring down our needs only to 1/3. Now, it is going to be 100 plus times better than burning coal every day because anything that is reused many times. So panels are going to reuse for 20 years. Batteries are going to reuse for at least 5 years. So 5 years is almost like 1200 cycles, 1300 cycles. But coal you burn every day. You can burn coal only once. So anything that is used again and again, 1,000 cycles is always going to be much, much better. But as I said, avoid it if you can. So avoid use of battery, avoid use of this. Make sure that your life runs mainly in the daytime so that your night storage is less, and then that is possible. But I would do this calculation now. Father, you had something? First of all, as a user of energy, or for that matter, a user of anything, we are never bothered about efficiency. Neither we should bothered about efficiency. We should not. We don't do it. We never worried about the efficiency of vehicle, refrigerator, this, that. Do you know the efficiency of projector? We don't know. We are not bothered about it, and we should not be also. Same thing, this efficiency of solar panel for a user is, he need not to know. It's only for the scientists, and in some very specific case, like sending mission to the to the space, where the space is concerned. So whenever space is concerned, you bothered about efficiency. Otherwise, you should not, because it is possible to generate a 47% efficient cell today. But if you start using 47% efficient cell, you will become bankrupt. So it is not a question of efficiency alone. It is always a combination of efficiency, cost, and eventually it's not even panel cost and this, what is the cost of electricity that you generate from solar per kilowatt hour is the final number, because that number will incorporate the efficiency and cost and everything is incorporated. So typically, so highest possible efficiency of a single junction material is 30%. Highest possible. Even if Lord Shiva comes and he said, okay, I will be making solar cell with you, can't make more than 30%, because that's a fundamental limit of physics. And then you make a multi-junction. And also, as a user, let us not worry about it, and scientists are taking care of it. it does not matter to us because as many things we do without bothering about efficiency, and it is actually for every user, there is enough rooftop space that you don't have to worry. 24% solar module will be so expensive that you will not take it actually. So eventually you will take a module of 17-18%, which is commonly commercially available. But yes, if you need it for some very special purpose, you can get 24%. But I'm sure you will not buy it. So it's not efficiency, it is the price at which we get the performance is important. All right? That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for illuminating our minds. I request our principal, Dr. S.P. Gore, to present the memento to our chief guest, Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki, as a token of our love and appreciation. Thank you, sir. When energy is coming from the sun, then why are we digging the earth? This is the quote just I got, and I like it, and it is very much relatable. Getting inspired with today's talk, I request all faculty members to rise and take a pledge with me. We can keep our hands like on heart, and then we, the faculty members of St. Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur, takes a pledge that we understand that our planet's climate is changing, and now it is becoming catastrophic. It is increasingly affecting human lives in negative way. We understand that each one of us have contributed to climate change, and each one of us must take a corrective action to secure our future, and particularly that of our future generations. Thank you. You may take a seat. And in line with this objective of the Energy Swaraj Yatra, you may take a seat, please. In line with the objectives of the Energy Swaraj Yatra and with respect to the discussion with Professor Chetan Singh Solanki, we are happy to announce on 31st January 2022 that our institute pledges to reduce its electricity consumption by at least 20%. As we come to end of this today's expert talk, may I call upon coordinator of today's program, Dr. D.S. Wankere, to express the voice of gratitude.
Good morning, one and all present here in the offline mode and those who are present in the online mode through YouTube live streaming. I am Dr. Dinesh Wankade. As a faculty coordinator of this event, I am proposing this vote of thanks. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Chetan Singh Solanki sir, Professor IIT Bombay, the Solar Man of India, the Solar Gandhi of India, for accepting our invitation and being our guest and delivering this expert talk. I would call it as an inspiring talk, energy talk. Thank you very much, sir. We are truly honored to have you among us for this session. I must register this, that your speech was truly inspiring. It kept us spellbound. It was thought-provoking. It made us think, and I'm sure a lot is going to come up after this speech in form of action plan, in form of action on ground. We express our gratitude for such an inspiring and wonderful session, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I thank management of St. Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering, management and authorities of St. Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering for supporting this endeavor of electrical engineering department wholeheartedly and generously. And special mention for Dr. Paul Chandran Kundal, our director, sir, for attending this event in spite of not being fit 100%, and in this way underlying the importance of this session. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I thank HOD of Electrical, Dr. Nitin Dhote, sir, and my colleagues, Mr. Dushyant Khadse, sir, Mr. Praveen Pisar, sir, Mrs. Shraddha Banode, madam, Sachin Nagmote, sir, and Kulan Unkar, sir, for coordinating this event nicely on a short notice. I must say, without your contribution, this program might not have been possible. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I thank all non-teaching members for doing the necessary arrangements, including those of those for online streaming. And last, not the least, I would like to thank all the faculty members, all the students who are present online, all the alumni, all the parents, all the academia, representation of the academia across the Nagpur University, all the Board of Studies members and industry experts, those who have attended this session online. Actually, there were a number of requests for me, since yesterday, that please share links, sir, with us immediately, or when I kept it as my status. So thank you for attending all this session in the offline mode, in the online mode, and supporting this endeavor. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request everyone to kindly rise for national anthem. Jana Gana Mana. Thank you, everyone. From here, dignitaries and faculty members are requested to proceed for high tea. Followed by high tea, there will be a solar bus demo that will be at block A and B passage, and it will be again followed by workshop on solar technology. Interested faculty members and students can attend the same. Thank you.